So most of the media understands how this works, but there's a lot of myths and misconceptions out there about the last few positive tests that have happened here in the UFC. So I want to clarify a few things. I'll start with Jon Jones. Jon Jones was tested out of competition on December 4th. When he was tested, he tested positive for cocaine. He was then again tested on December 18th. He was negative for PEDs. He was not tested again for cocaine. For people who don't understand the way that WADA works, the WADA rules and regulations, you do not test for recreational drugs out of competition, okay? Out of competition, you do not test for recreational drugs. So then he was tested again on January 3rd, post-fight. After the fight, he was tested, and he tested negative for everything. Performance-enhancing drugs or recreational drugs, okay? So the difference between out-of-competition testing for PEDs. So I saw a lot of people talking about Jon Jones tested positive for cocaine, yet you see other fighters getting in big trouble for testing positive for marijuana. That is the difference between out of competition and in competition. Jon Jones tested positive for cocaine out of competition. In competition, he's tested negative. So these fighters that you hear about that get in big trouble for marijuana or any other recreational drug, it's during competition. So had Jon Jones tested positive for a recreational drug after the fight, he would be even in more trouble, okay? He was fined $25,000 for violating the code of conduct, and that money ended up being donated to a charity that benefits children impacted by drug use. All right, and at the end there'll be a Q&A here so we can get more into all this stuff, but I just want to set the record straight on a few things. The next one is Anderson Silva. So Anderson Silva had a pre-fight test, an out-of-competition test, okay? And that test was on January 9th, and it was done by the Sports Medicine and Research Testing Laboratory, which is a world anti-doping agency and accredited lab in Salt Lake City, Utah. That test was taken on January 9th,
Thank you.
right? The Nevada State Athletic Commission did not get that test result back until Tuesday, February 23rd, and we found out, February 3rd, I'm sorry, Tuesday, February 3rd. They got the test back Tuesday, February 3rd, which was after the event. We found out at 10 a.m. that morning. The Nevada State Athletic Commission notified us, and we found out that morning. So we're going to hand out this drug test to the media here. We actually have the test. I want everybody to see it. Some of you I know already know the answers to this and already get it, but I gotta walk through this for the people that do not. Fans too. There's fans and everybody. And let me start by saying this. Believe me, if you don't think when this pre-fight test came into us on Tuesday, we didn't say, how is this just coming in now? This doesn't make sense. So if you look at the test, right, it's up on the screens too, right up in the right-hand corner it says collection date. The collection date was 1/9/2015. The lab receipt date, the day they received it, was 1/12/2015, and the report date was 2/3/2015, all right? That test did not come back until after the fight, and that's when we were notified. First of all, the Nevada Athletic Commission would never let a fighter go in if they knew he was on performance-enhancing drugs, and we would never do that. No fight or no one fighter is worth the integrity of this sport. It would never happen. This test came back after the fact. There's some issues there, I get it, and you know, these are all things that are being worked on now. But I just want everybody to know, we would never do that. The Nevada State Athletic Commission would never do that. And the test is right here. And for those of you that didn't see it, Kevin Ioli actually called this lab and did an interview with the doctor who does this testing, and he explained to him and broke it down what happened and why that test was late. Also, Anderson Silva tested positive in his post-fight. PED drug test. He will now go before the Nevada State Athletic Commission to plead his case. Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard failed his post-fight test on January 3rd. The results came back on January 13th. So as soon as we heard that he tested positive, we yanked him off the card. He was supposed to fight in Montreal in the co-main event against Rory McDonald. So as soon as we heard he was out of the fight, and so people started saying to us, well, why didn't you release, why didn't you announce that Hector Lombard tested positive? We never announce when a guy tests positive unless we're self-regulating. If we self-regulate an event and we get the test back and somebody is positive, we let the media know, we let the fighter know, and then we lay down our sentence. But there's never a situation where we announce a drug test that was done by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They do it. So we responded quickly, we yanked him out of the fight, and now Rory McDonald will fight Robbie Lawler for the UFC Welterweight Championship on July 11th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. We can talk about this in the Q&A. That's all I got.